I want to be the first to say this. The Clippers as a team, I was reading some reports here lately, Hoops Hype and a few other sites you could look at also. The Clippers as a team were in a situation this offseason and a couple seasons back to back where I thought they needed a point guard, a real point guard to run their team and run their offense. And there were plenty of names out there, especially this offseason. There was John Wall. There was, Mike Conley. There was, I even heard names like, Derrick Rose. I heard Lonzo Ball. I heard a lot of point guard names this offseason, for the Clippers. And one name in particular that I thought that would have been a good fit for them. Even Malcolm Brogdon was another one I thought would have been a good fit, Dragic and a few others. But the one that I thought would have been a good fit, and even himself, he thought that he would be going to the Clippers, was Mike Conley. Now, what would the Clippers be like if they had Mike Conley instead of John Wall? We can always debate that. We can always talk about it. But at the same time, it's one really to debate because, honestly, I was not on board with John Wall this offseason. You've heard me say that. You can go back and listen to my previous videos that I made before the season started. I really wasn't that big on John Wall. He has really surprised me. He has really come in. He has really played well from what I thought. Of course, he can play better, but who can't? Every player, you can say every player can play better. But my point is, he really surprised me. He's really played well, and he's really been a lot better than I thought he would be. I didn't know if he still had the speed he had or play with the same edge that he used to play with when he was on the Wizards. And he still kind of does. And it's very surprising. I think the Clippers are satisfied with what they have. The only question I pose is, the one thing I will say, the reason why I think point guards like Mike Conley would have been great for the Clippers is because he's more of the type of point guard that I feel like they need. Because when you think about Kawhi Leonard, the best player for the Clippers, he plays more of a slow down version of basketball. He plays at his own speed, at his own pace. And I feel like that at times can counteract what a player like John Wall does. I feel like it kind of goes against what John Wall does. John Wall is all gas, no brakes, going 100 miles an hour from one end to the court, the other end of the court. If Kawhi Leonard doesn't play with that type of speed, if he doesn't play that type of way, there can be an issue there with the Clippers. And I'm not saying it will be. I'm not saying that's what's going to happen because, as I said before, that might not happen. From what I see right now of John Wall, he's humbled. He's ready to play. He's ready to do whatever he has to do to make this team better and throw a little bit of sprinkle of his game on top of it while he's there. And I'm okay with that, just by what I've seen from John Wall so far. But, I asked myself, now that this came out on Hoops Hype, where Mike Conley, speaks and says himself, he thought he was going to the Clippers. And one of his best sources, the people that he trusts, mentioned that to him. It just didn't fall through, and the Clippers end up going with John Wall instead of Mike Conley. Now, of course, a lot of people, since this report has come out, this is only going to become a big thing if John Wall doesn't work out and if the Clippers don't win a championship. Then it's going to be all type of conversations about, they should have went with Mike Conley when they had a chance because they had a choice to pick between both of them. Me personally, I know what Mike Conley is going to give you. Mike Conley is a solid point guard, not looking for spotlight, never has been, but he is solid to the point where you can win games with him, and you can win a lot with a player like Mike Conley. One thing I will say about Mike Conley, he's never been one of my favorite players in the NBA or something like that, but I always give him credit. He does have a high basketball IQ, and he knows how to execute plays, and he can knock down big shots when you need him to as well. And he is very, very unselfish. So with that being said, most people could argue that he was a top 10 point guard in the league. Some people might argue that he might still be a top 10 point guard in the league. I don't know. I wouldn't say he's a top 10 point guard in the league, but then again, it's not that many point guards to pick from, is it? That you would put in a category of a top 10. So, he still might actually be in that category. I know at one point when he was on the Grizzlies in his younger days, they looked at him as a top 10 point guard. He didn't make an all-star game at that time, but he was very well groomed as a player, and he played with high basketball IQ. And I know one thing for a fact, a lot of people say or have said about Kawhi Leonard, even he said it himself, He wants to play with high basketball IQ players. He doesn't like really playing with players who don't have a high IQ because it goes against who he is. He has a high IQ for basketball. I mean, he did come from San Antonio with Greg Popovich. So to me, that says a whole lot about him right there. So he's only looking for the best of the best. And I can tell you, Mike Conley would have been a good fit with somebody like Kawhi Leonard and Paul George, because first of all, he could slow the game down. He plays more at their pace, and he execute plays at a high level. He can give you 8 assists a game, plus he can give you 15 to 20 points a game if he chose to, because he's that type of point guard. He can give you that. And I'm not saying John Wall can't. John Wall can, but you have to understand, Mike Conley could do it at a high level while you're winning. Just a few years ago, I didn't respect the Utah Jazz. I never have, but just a couple seasons ago, they were the number 1 seed in the West for a reason. Not just because of Donovan Mitchell, not just because of Rudy Gobert. They were the number 1 seed because they had solid point guard play, high IQ basketball, high IQ for the game. And when you have a point guard who has a high IQ, his decision making in crucial situations usually always turn out to the good. That's the only thing I'm worried about with John Wall. And that's what I said in the offseason. I got to see John Wall play in a 7-game series or a situation where it is destined for him, or he needs to execute a play at a high level and make good decisions on the basketball court if the Clippers are down in a series, or if they're down in a game in the fourth quarter. Can he make good plays and good decisions on the court to help them execute plays at a high level when their back is against the wall, rather than do that only when the Clippers are up 20 plus points in a game? Because it's easy to do a lot of good things when you're up by 20 plus points. When you're up by 10, 20 plus points, you're doing a lot of things right. It's like you can't do no wrong because you have a comfortable lead, or maybe not comfortable, but you have a lead to where you feel like you can make 1 or 2 mistakes and recover because you still have the lead, rather than have that happen to you when you don't have the lead and every mistake or every move you make counts times 2. And that's the difference between a point guard like John Wall and a point guard like Mike Conley. Mike Conley hasn't won a championship, but he's been closer. He's come closer in his career of winning a championship than John Wall has, to me, because, as I said, he was on a team with the number 1 seed just a couple seasons ago in Utah, and there were some, not many, but there were some people, even online, that were talking about Utah could be a contender. You know what I'm saying? So, and there was even some media people that said Utah could be a contender. So my point is, only time will really tell whether Clippers really made the best decision or not. Now, as far as what I see right now, John Wall is a good decision from what I see right now. But only time will tell, like I said, because when the Clippers get into a situation on the later part of the season, or when they get to the playoffs, what type of decision making is John Wall going to make then? And what type of impact is he going to make when it really counts the most? And I'm telling you, I've seen Mike Conley make good decisions in situations where, Utah could have prevailed. But, as a team, it takes a team to win a championship, not just one guy. I've seen Mike Conley play high-level basketball, very solid point guard play that would benefit a championship team any day of the week. If Mike Conley got traded to the Clippers, there's no doubt they would be a championship team. It wouldn't even be debatable, because his high IQ for basketball, honestly, the Clippers wouldn't be 6-5 right now. They had Mike Conley. Because first of all, if you got a player like Mike Conley, there would be no debate who the starting point guard would be. You see, Ty Lue had a debate who his starting point guard would be between John Wall and Reggie. There would be no debate if they would have got a Mike Conley, because Mike Conley is a better point guard, and he's been doing this a lot longer at a higher level than Reggie Jackson, and he's a natural point guard. Reggie Jackson's a natural 2 position, not a 1 position. So my point is, if they had a Mike Conley, if they went and got him, not only they would have known who their starting point guard is, they would have a better game plan going into this season. And the games that you see Kawhi Leonard miss, it wouldn't make much of a difference. Not at this point. Maybe later on in the season it would, but in the beginning stage of the season, I know somebody like Mike Conley would balance this offense out a lot better, a lot smoother, where it would make Ty Lue's job even easier. And like I said, that's no knock on John Wall at all. John Wall's been playing pretty decent up until this point. You really can't expect no more out of John Wall than what he's giving you to this point. I mean, the man really didn't even play basketball for like a whole year. You see what I'm saying? And Houston had him sitting to the side like he was trash, and he's not trash. He's far from that. So what you're getting out of John Wall is probably the best you're going to get out of him at this point. Now, as he grows during the season, of course he has to elevate that, but we'll see. As I said, time will tell. They didn't get Mike Conley, but it sure would have been great if they did, if you ask me. I definitely think their record would be better if they had Mike Conley, because he would give the offense more balance. And and like I said, to me, he is more of a perfect fit with the Clippers, even than John Wall is, if you ask me. So, I mean, like I said, nothing we can do about that now. Just hope that John Wall, continues to get better, continue to thrive to get better, continue to push himself to get back to how he was 100%, which might not ever happen, but as close as possible is what all we can hope for. And hopefully the Clippers made the right decision. But in the end, as I said, time will tell when the playoffs come whether the decision they made was right or whether the decision they made was suspect. But hey, that's my take on everything. Leave any comments in the comment section. Check out my other videos if you haven't. And hey, till next time.